Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome, everybody, to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 118. I am your host, Klauss Bunnybringer.
No. Why?
Because it's hatching tide, that's why. Ladies, I just recently fantasiaed into a male Vieira.
I don't think that's true. I really, truly don't believe you. God.
Anyway, no, but it is currently hatching tide. And for those of you listening on the podcast, if you're not familiar, one of the event rewards is a giant bunny mask. Giant bunny head. And I'm wearing that. And I have Taliz extremely uncomfortable by that.
It's
and
very bothersome.
It's amazing. I love it.
It's really not.
Oh, come on.
But okay. I hate fun. We know this.
Yes.
I also forgot that it was hatching tide until like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So
when I told you that. As you can hear, we are missing a Ser. Ser is taking the night off for his own mental health reasons. This entire pandemic is affecting all of us in very different ways, and he feels the need to have to just take time for him. So I'm fully supportive of that. Ser, if you're listening, we love you, and we want you to get through this just as much as everybody else. Speaking of which, if you follow us out on Twitter, I did make mention that we would like to do a real talk segment here, because like we said, this is affecting everybody in a multitude of different ways. Myself, find myself currently unemployed because my normal job has closed its doors temporarily. And I currently do not have an ETA as to when they will reopen, because all of the regulations that are being passed down at the state level are in flux. They're changing every day. We have so much that's happening that it's evolving on a daily basis. What was looking to be something that could last 2 to 3 weeks is now looking at 2 to 3 months potentially, or further. And that's got everybody affected. Like I said, I'm unemployed, currently doing on-call pizza delivery for a wonderful place here in town. So that's why we are currently podcasting on Sunday night instead of Saturday night, because, of course, Friday and Saturday nights are the biggest nights for pizza delivery.
They are very, very, very busy. I did pizza for years, and yeah, it's not, the single perfect job, but man, is it convenient when you need it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Friday and Saturday, you're pretty much just, if you want to hang out with anybody that works in a restaurant, anybody that's ever dated or been friends with anybody that works in a restaurant, that if you want to hang out with them, you're hanging out on Monday or Tuesday.
Yep.
You are not hanging out the rest of the week.
Yep. The weekend does not exist to them. Because it is their weekend is Monday, Tuesday, sometimes Sunday. This particular pizza place is closed on Sunday, which is nice.
I actually asked my roommate today. I said, "Hey, are you not working today?" And he looks at me like I'm completely insane. He's like, "It's Sunday, right?" And I was like, that haven't had a desk job in about 8 years, right? And he's like, "Right, that's all I've ever had. So no, I don't work Sundays." And I was like, "Cool, that's weird. I'm going to go deliver groceries." He's just like, "Oh, all right. See ya. Can you bring home some rice milk?" And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah. But anyway, what that means for the podcast then is, for the foreseeable future, we are going to now be podcasting live on Sunday nights instead. It'll be the same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Here at twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio, but it will be Sunday nights instead. Ser and Taliz are, for the most part, free on those days, but it seemed to work best for all of us at that point. So moving forward, we'll let you know when we go back to normal, if things ever go back to normal.
And let's be real, we might just, stick with this. Who knows?
A lot of it
Stay
depends.
tuned.
Yeah, I mean, keep informed. Like I said, let us know what you think of it. If you think it's a better day to join us live. I mean, because we hope that it doesn't impact you guys being able to join us, because we love having you guys to talk with. Speaking of talk with, as I was getting to, I tweeted out about an hour ago that like I said, we want to have a real talk segment here because it's affecting us all in very different ways, and we'd like to hear how it's been affecting you guys. So if you want to jump into the Discord, by all means, I'm just throwing it out to the Twitch chat here. Join us in the on deck, or the call-in channel, we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to share your story, please let us know. And then you can just say something in the. I think you guys have access to the PDR show discussion channel. Just say what you would like to say in there, and we can bring you in. Taliz, how has this been affecting you?
So I am in a weird space where my two roommates, one is pregnant, so we have a lot of things that we're being very, very careful on with her.
Mm-hmm.
One works for Amazon in HR, and he's been working from home for the last few months anyway. So like this wasn't really a huge shift, except for the part where sometimes for meetings or for any computing hardware that he needed, he could go in, and now he can't. For me, I got back from the whole Nagasaki adventure, and my plan was to work for ride sharing companies for a little while to kind of get back on my feet. Well, with nobody going anywhere, that obviously sort of imploded. A friend of mine loaned me a car, and I'm back to delivering groceries, which is great. I have something to do, and I'm still able to earn some form of income. The problem here is I'm now borrowing someone's car, and I'm going in and out of grocery stores all day, 7 days a week. So there's now a couple of cardboard boxes sitting in my garage that are my laundry boxes, basically. And is it overkill? Probably. Do I care? Not really.
No, I mean, if you've got you got somebody in your house who's pregnant and potentially more susceptible. So I mean, like taking those extra steps is actually amazing on your part.
It means I take my gloves off and leave them outside. It means I have a pair of mechanic driving gloves that I've been using for years anyway, so I just leave those outside. I leave my shoes outside. I have, a lot of my pajama pants are getting a workout kind of thing, and we just all decided, like, as a group, like, is it cool if Taliz just like cruises into the house without a shirt on? It's like, yes, because it's safer that way, and it's dumb, and my hoodie lives outside and everything. But it's been an interesting prospect where I'm having friends and friends of friends message me on Facebook or get my phone number from my mom or whatever, and they're like, hey, I need unsweetened hemp milk. Like, do you know anywhere that has that? And it's like, well, not off the top of my head, but I'm going to visit 9 stores in the next 2 days. Let me get back to you. So now all of a sudden I have this like weird conglomeration of knowledge where people are like, I need lemonade. I'm like, you want this QFC on Mukilteo Speedway? It's like, I know where all of the stuff is, which is helpful. And honestly, the thing that I've found the most rewarding during this is the fact that people can message me and say, we're out of milk and my son can't have dairy. Do you know where I can get rice milk, hemp milk, soy milk? Do you know where I can get shelf-stable protein? Like, do you know where I can find this stuff? And I have answers for that. So that's been really helpful. But I also get home at the end of the day and realize if I didn't have an answer for some of these people, what would be their response? What would be the reaction? And I'm sitting here going, okay, cool. I'm very blessed and very lucky. But I have a lot of things that went for me to make this happen. And so if you need help, cool, message me. If you're not in Western Washington, I might not have the best answer for you. But I mean, it's been nice to be able to help, but it's also very scary to realize when I leave my house, it is I leave and I don't come back until I come back for the whole night. because I don't want to go in and out all day. That's not safe either.
Yeah. See, we do have somebody in the call-in channel. I am going to bring our
Awesome.
friend Nick Nar down.
Please do.
Nick Nar, hey, how's it going, man? You can unmute.
Hey.
I know we've had a lot of discussions as to, your situation. I mean, you work for a company that they kept going,
Yep.
but they significantly changed your hours, correct, for a while?
Yes, they did, because they were trying to split how many people were in the building at one time.
Okay, fortunately, you've been where you've gotten a full 40 hours a week kind of thing, though. So you've been very lucky.
I've been getting paid for 40. I actually
Yeah.
have not been working 40, though.
Yeah. But you lost your weekends for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah, granted, there's nothing open, so I didn't really lose much other than, being able to get out and whatnot.
Aside from that, have you noticed any major changes or issues with your social interactions and things like that?
A little bit. I because I don't really get out much now, from social distancing. I haven't actually been able to hang out with anyone really, which is kind of actually that was a little depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you started the multi-person Facebook and or Discord video call yet?
Thankfully, no.
Okay. Our social circle, we decided that since we can't do D&D, we were like, okay, whenever we would be playing, we're going to do this instead. And it helps. But there's definitely like that kind of solemn moment at the end where we're like, I still want to like hug you goodbye. And like, I still want to get a text that lets me know you got home safe. But it's like, it's helpful, but it's still also a challenge.
Yeah.
No, I understand. It's as a person who is very introverted and honestly doesn't have much social interaction generally outside of work, I'm feeling it because I don't get that interaction at work. I'm used to 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. I am dealing with the same bunch of knuckleheads, handling computer issues and doing all that stuff. But now I've got 2.5 weeks where I've been sitting in front of my computer and playing some video games or doing other things like that, and it's not the same. The only positive I'm seeing out of a lot of this is the fact it's given me more time to get out and be more active. I have been going on 3 to 4 walks / runs a week now, which has been kind of nice. But before, my schedule didn't really allow it. I would be leaving the house at 5:30 in the morning, getting back at a little after 6 at night, and getting ready to then stream about 7 o'clock, and then go back to bed and repeat the whole thing over again. 4 days a week, that doesn't give me much time to do anything, healthy if I want to maintain a stream schedule. So it's either I would go for the walk or I would stream. I couldn't do both. Now I can. So, I mean, that's kind of nice. But losing that income has been hard.
True. Nick, well, how goes your get out of the house step? Because everybody has one, hopefully. How's yours going?
Not very well, actually, because my schedule had changed. I'm not getting home till almost 6 a.m. So I'm passed out most of the day. By the time I get up, I just don't feel like getting out.
You're working nights?
Yep. I was working 5 p.m. to 5 a.m.
And now you're working. Okay.
Well, that's what I was working for this new schedule. Though starting Monday, I'll be working from 5 p.m. to 3:30 a.m., which is a little bit shorter. It probably still have the same problem where I'll be sleeping most of the day.
I was gonna say, you get home, you wind down, you're still going to bed at 6 a.m. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not much fun to get outside when it's dark, is it?
Well, I mean, it's actually bright out when I get up. But by the time I get up, it's I have to get ready for work. Or lately, it's I'm not working, and then the weather turns crappy. It's like can't win.
Yeah, like snow last weekend. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was you guys too. Good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I legitimately I got off of work delivering pizzas, and it started to get it had been raining all day, and it just started to get a little bit more chunky. It was hitting more solidly on my windshield. I'm like, oh crap, is it gonna? And then an hour later, we've got an inch of snow on the ground.
Yeah, it wasn't fun when I got home because the entryway was a bit icy.
Yep, because it went from like 40 degrees to about 20 degrees.
Yeah,
It wasn't nice. It sure was a thing, but that's what we get for living in Minnesota, huh?
Yes.
Has your area been kind of stricken with the people who have been crazily buying up anything and everything they can? Or
yes, I mean we have the issue of lack of toilet paper, lack of wipes, lack of any kind of cleaning supply. Though, granted, I haven't gone shopping since last Monday, so I don't know if it's approved yet or not.
I
I
know.
know in K-Man, they alphabetized shopping days by last name, so they can have fewer people out at any given point.
So
It's like that's
if your last name begins with J, you can go on Tuesdays, kind of thing.
Tuesdays and Fridays or whatever, which is, it's fine. It makes sense, except for if your store doesn't get a shipment the night before, then you get the store on the day that it's basically empty.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then if you got a different last name, you get the store when it's full.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you are one of the lucky ones who are still working, can't get to the shops because you have to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yup.
Because of the limited hours.
Mm-hmm. And it's limited by person. So I know that a couple of the stores nearby, they've said staff can shop on this day at this time, and you guys have limits too, because otherwise you can buy one thing of toilet paper. Okay, cool. Well, if you buy one every day you work and you work 6 days in a row, like, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, now that's 5 other people that don't get stuff that they need. So we've had to be kind of strict on some stuff, but
yeah, I'm not
it's
understanding.
temporary, hopefully.
I'm not understanding people's mindsets with all of this.
Yeah, I mean, if people would just buy what they would need normally, it would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's too easy, and you know it.
No, I know.
Yep.
The only thing I can do can say.
It's that old adage of a person is smart, people are stupid.
Yep.
All right, Agent K.
Thanks, Men in Black. It's true though. Like it really, truly is.
It is. It is one of the most profound things ever said on the movie screen.
Almost ever, yeah.
Aside from do or do not, there is no try. Thanks, Silent Bob.
Wait.
I'm kidding.
My brain just exploded.
Come on, you know I'm just teasing.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway.
Anyway.
Was that Jay that said that?
No, actually it was Bob that said that. It was
one
of the few things that he said in his career.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few quotes that he did, little gems that he put out there. Mm-hmm. But Nick Nar, thank you so much for sharing. We do appreciate hearing your reaction to what's been going on and how you're coping with things. Like I said, if anybody else wants to call in, hit up the call-in channel on our Discord. The link is in the Twitch chat. And if you're listening on the podcast, feel free to email us, podcast@phoenixonradio.com, or you can tweet at us at PHXDNRadio on Twitter. We'd like to know how you guys are handling this. So, Nick, now I'm going to kick you out for now. But again, thank you so much for sharing. We do appreciate it.
No problem.
Like I said, if anybody else wants to jump in, we really do want to hear from you guys, because this is affecting everybody, in strange, odd ways. Like, I was supposed to have been at a convention this weekend. It was supposed to be Anime Detour, but that got canceled probably about 3 weeks ago. I think
Something
when they
like
pulled
that,
the plug, and supposed to have done a couple of panels on podcasting, which would have been a really good time. I actually did think about linking to the YouTube video of last year's podcasting panel that we did. Could have been fun, but I was like, my heart wasn't in it, you know. I also thought about doing them live on Twitch or something like that, but it wouldn't be the same.
If your heart's not in it, don't do it, man.
Yeah, I don't like doing anything half-assed, even though I do this podcast every other week. But actually, I should say
whole ass one thing.
No, I if you guys knew the work I put into this, you'd be shocked. And it still turns out this crappy.
Shush!
No.
It's a great show, and you know it.
I know. So I mean, we have that going, and then the fact that, like I said, instead of being at a convention, I'm instead waiting for the owners of the pizza place to text me and say, "Hey, we need you to help us with some deliveries." Adds a slight layer of uncertainty to my already kind of uncertain life, not knowing if or when I will be actually returning to my regular job. So that scares me. The fact that I have I have upcoming bills that need to be paid, and a lack of regular income. You know, my unemployment income is like half of what I made every week before, which was just barely enough to cover what I needed at that time. So you can imagine if you cut it in half.
Ouch.
Yeah. And if this is going to extend more than just a few weeks, you know, I might be able to get through April. You know, we're supposed to get this amazing stimulus check from our benevolent government masters, you know, in the magical land of the DCs.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it's cool and all, but like, I don't pay taxes because I'm an independent contractor. So like, if that comes out of my 2020 return, we have a problem because I don't get a return.
I mean, yeah, that's another thing. I've heard people say that this is supposed to be a forward on your 2020 tax returns.
Yeah.
Which means that some people, especially small business owners and people like that, or independent contractors, or anybody who doesn't have just a regular job where they get, you know, fill in a W-2 form, or it's a W-4 form that you have to fill out at work, whatever it is. They may end up having to pay in at the end of the year because of this. So,
yep.
Or like I said, those people who rely on, you know, their tax returns, you know, at the beginning of the next year, are going to be hurting because they're not going to have that either, because they're getting it early because people decided to be stupid and you know, not listen to, you know, doctors' recommendations and things like that to try and flatten this whole curve.
Stay home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
seriously. Not everybody can, but if you can, stay home.
Yeah, I mean, I leave the house to go for a run every couple of days, and I make sure to practice social distancing when I am on the trails. I am so angry at the people who don't. I want to yell at them, but keep it to myself. And then I noticed there are actually fewer cars on the roads, thankfully, which is helpful.
Oh my gosh. I'm in this really horrible spot where it's like, I'm constantly busy at work. Traffic is great. Stores are less crowded. People get out of my way when I'm coming down an aisle quickly. I'm like, this is all helpful for me, but I can't celebrate any of it without being a complete monster.
Yeah, no, you're right. But also, I'm not in a huge area. You know, like I'm not in an urban area like Taliz is. I'm in just a small, what you guys would consider a small town. It's about 13,000 people. And realistically, it hasn't affected what the day-to-day stuff, what it seems like out there. Most people don't seem to really be all that cognizant of what this actually means. Like, my neighbors are still holding, you know, get-togethers at night. Like, I saw, like, you know, about half a dozen people sitting out in their driveway, you know, around a fire pit, and I was like, are you people serious?
Yeah, that's such a terrible idea.
And these people have small kids.
Bad idea.
Yes. And they live next to a state trooper, which I don't know if he was involved in that or not, because I honestly don't know my neighbors, because I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a social person. You guys know this. You guys are my socialization. You are the group of people that I want to associate with, because you guys are cool. And I don't have to see you in person.
Right?
Because people are scary. Like I said, this is all real talk right now, because we know this is hurting us. This is hurting all of us, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared. I'm very scared right now. If you've been watching my streams lately, have I seemed scared? Probably not. I don't always portray what I'm feeling on the inside to you guys on the outside. And that doesn't matter if it's on a stream, if it's in real life. If I were to meet you on the street, if we were to go hang out at a restaurant, if we could, theoretically now.
If the restaurant was open.
Theoretically now, in a normal situation, I would not burden people with my issues, because I just choose not to do that. But right now, I am lowering that wall, and I'm telling you guys, I'm scared. All of this is bringing a lot of uncertainty. I know Sarah feels this too. Sarah's much better at displaying how he feels. I envy a lot of people for that in a lot of ways, because it seems so much simpler. You don't have to erect these walls. I said erect.
Nice.
Or should I said
Stop. My
Nope.
penis can only get so erect.
well, it said erect, but anyway, sorry, little levity.
Nope,
that's
you
how,
good.
That's how I roll. But like I said, that's just not how I'm usually am. So I mean, for me to do that for you guys right now is a huge change in my normal interaction with people. So that's just telling you guys how serious I think this is, and how serious I'm taking it, and how serious I hope that you guys are taking it as well. Like I said, I'm considering myself rather fortunate. My sister, who works in healthcare, has fortunately not had to do any work on the front lines. She does mainly administrative stuff. She's a nurse. I mean, she does do shifts, in helping people out. But a lot of times, lately, she has the luxury of being able to do office style work. So she's been working from home a lot. So I'm thankful for that. My parents are semi-retired. They do not have to worry about getting out. They're fortunate. They actually came back from New Orleans around Mardi Gras time, before all this shit really started to pick up. So they were lucky they didn't contract there, but they've been kind of staying around home lately. My family up north, while my half-brother is currently on a leave because the restaurant he works at is only doing takeouts. He was a front of the house manager, so he's kind of unemployed right now. My half-sister, however, is the person who makes the handmade pasta, so she's still working. And so,
Jeez.
and yeah, so I mean, a lot of people I know are affected, but it hasn't hit my family as deeply as maybe some of you guys. But I mean, the fact I'm still scared, and I mean, if it hasn't really hit me that way, I mean, why isn't everybody else taking it this seriously?
It's tough when we have a lot of moments where we want to try to be empathetic towards others, and we understand that, yeah, it's scary and yeah, it's unknown, but then you wait in that really long line that wraps around a Costco, and then you have to be 6 feet apart, and then check stands take forever, and you can't pay in cash in half the places you used to, and you do that 4 or 5 times, and all of a sudden people's patience starts to wear thin. And then when those people have immunocompromised family at home, their patience is already thin when they start. And I've seen some amazing acts of humility and humanity coming around through all the stores I shop in. I've also seen some acts of, frankly, if the situation wasn't the way it was, we would probably call the police. Because people are freaking out on each other over literally nothing. And we know nobody cares about your stupid egg salad. Like, we just don't, right? What we care about is the fact that people are snapping over something small, something minor, something they can't control, something that ultimately doesn't matter. But they're snapping because their patience is worn thin. And again, if you can stay home, try to stay home as much as you can. If you can't, try to do every single barrier that you can come up with to keep yourself and anybody that you live with safe.
Absolutely.
And if you can't, like if you're like me and you're stuck going and talking to 7 dozen people a day, like, guess what? Your jeans live in the garage. They just do, right? It's
like
dumb, but they do.
I live alone. I'm fortunate there. So what I do isn't impacting anybody else locally here. But what I do when I'm delivering pizzas impacts everybody that I come in contact with, the people that I'm working with, the people I'm delivering to. So, I mean, we're doing contactless delivery in a lot of cases. We're taking credit cards over the phone. People don't have to sign their slips because, we want to limit all of that contact, to keep people safe. And
are you doing the empty pizza box underneath the regular pizza box?
No, we just, what I do is I ring the doorbell. They come to the door, then I'll set it down for them, step back, then they grab it.
Oh, okay. I've done those. I've seen the ding dong backup. I've also seen you set the pizza somewhere safe and dry, text or call them, and then you just like stand on the other end of their porch or sit in your car or whatever until they come out, and then you can leave. When it was raining the other night, a friend of mine actually had their Domino's driver brought a large box, and they put it on the ground, and then they stacked all of their pizza and breadsticks and stuff. They were in a bag. Like, they grabbed the big plastic bags that we keep all the like cheese and peppers and stuff in, and they wrapped every single pizza box in one, and they still set it on top of something. So you weren't putting hot, wet food onto the ground.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, there was still that one little barrier, and it's a game of inches right now.
Yeah, I've seen...
Gloves and hand washing and masks alone aren't going to do it, but together,
sorry, I was looking
with
for that.
all of us, perfect. But with all of us together doing it, it adds up a lot.
It does. I mean, yeah, we try and take things, as much common sense as possible. So when it has been raining, I've tried to make sure to take the customers' well-being into mind as much as possible. So it's tough. It's just really, really tough.
But we will get through this. It might take till the end of May, and that's gonna suck. It already sucks. Like, I'm not looking forward to it, but I would happily have it take until the end of May and then be done, than have this become the new normal standard operation of the world. Because my God, can we not get anything done?
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Nick Nar in chat's bringing up the fact that, he won't be able to have Easter with his parents now. I don't think I'll be having Easter with my folks either.
No, we're not doing.
They're older.
Easter at all.
The thing with this particular corona version of the coronavirus, this COVID-19, is not everybody who is infected has symptoms, and you could easily be a carrier, not know it, come in contact with somebody, get them sick. That's why
Klauss,
we're social distancing.
Hey, Klauss, I'm not sure if this is recording or not, but you were kind of phasing in and out audio-wise there for a second on my...
Okay, it would have gone through on the recording fine, and this fine because it's on my side, so...
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah. Anyway, we've definitely got a lot to work through. Yeah. And again, if you guys do have something you want to talk through, if you want to tell us your story of how this is affecting you, definitely join us in our Discord.
Yep. Hit up our Discord Taliz threw it up there. We will be linking our Discord channel the lobby in the show notes of this podcast. Like I said, you can also reach out to us if you would rather do it more privately. Email me, podcast@phoenixstarradio.com, Klauss@phoenixstarradio.com. More than happy. Or you can tweet at us at PHXDNradio. With that being said, we do have a contest that's still going because of all this negativity and these down and uncertain times. We know there have still been some bright rays of hope out there, some great things that have been happening in the community. If you, a friend, somebody has experienced something like this, if you have been on the giving or receiving end of one of these amazing acts, share it with us. Tweet at PHXDNradio with the hashtag Phoenix Down Pick Me Up. We're going to pick 3 random entries on that to win a lovely Phoenix Down keychain from the people at Loot Cave, and then some random Phoenix Down Radio stickers and other swag. We're going to extend this as long as we need to get some people to submit some entries for us. So again, tweet at PHXDNradio with the hashtag Phoenix Down Pick Me Up with a story of something amazing happening in these trying times. And we'll pick our favorites. We'll pick 3 random people. You guys will get some amazing stuff. So please, we want to hear some happy things too.
Ian Show in the chat just said he's got Ring Fit Adventures. He Skypes with his parents and let them watch him exercise so that they can move around a little bit and get some of their actions too.
Hey, any way you can share this, I mean, that's cool. Ian Show, you should submit that. That's a cool thing. Submit that one and then we'll get you entered. Remember, at PHXDNradio on Twitter with the hashtag Phoenix Down Pick Me Up. So enter that in. Like I said, because it's physical items, we're limiting the entries to the U.S. and Canada, though. We're allowed by law. But yeah, we're going to keep this going as long as it needs to be.
Also, if you win something, what is it? Manitoba, I think it is. If you win something, you have to you're not allowed to win anything.
It's Quebec.
Is it Quebec?
It's Quebec. You cannot win any chance things like that. It has to be a game of skill. Skill. You have to answer a math question or something like that.
I was going to say, we'll send you your math test. We'll do whatever.
It is what it is. All right, so let's jump ahead. Thank you guys for letting us kind of have this little bit of a real talk with you guys. Apologies on the downers, but after thinking about it, we needed to air it. We needed to get it out there. We need people to know that, you know what, if you are suffering, you're not the only one suffering. We're all in this together. We're all one big community. We love you all, and I mean that.
It's true.
All right, so for some gaming communities, let's share some love for our friend Kane Thorbreaker. Yesterday was his birthday.
Woo!
Happy birthday, Kane. Also, then I feel terrible because we missed Nobuo Uematsu's birthday. It was on March 21st.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously.
How old is that dude now?
He's a young, spry man.
I mean,
he's an amazing man.
He's just, I can't even think off the top of my head, what are the best songs that he's written? What songs has he done that I've had an emotional and physical response to? And the list is massive. The dude's incredible.
I couldn't have a list under 10.
I couldn't.
No, there's no way I could have a list of less than 10 songs that he's composed that have had a huge impact.
I'm just going through the top of my head. I'm To Xanarkand is on there for sure.
Nick Nar's saying he's 61 and that's it? Wow. He has done so much.
He's done so much stuff. Oh my God. So he was 30 when he started working on the original Final Fantasy then?
Sounds about right. He's only 20 years older than I am.
Good Lord, that's crazy.
I would have thought him to be quite a bit older than me, just by the sheer gravitas of the man, of what he's accomplished. It just makes him seem, and I don't mean this in a negative way. He just means that he just seems so much more out there and more of him. He'd be older than that, But wow.
So happy birthday to Uematsu-san. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Hi.
Danjobi omedetou.
What he said. Some Final Fantasy XIV news. Hatching Tide is going on right now, in case you couldn't tell, in case we haven't mentioned it enough, in case you haven't been freaked out by my bunny head for the past 40 minutes.
No bunny head.
Part 2 started today at 8 this morning Pacific time. You can, if you haven't done it yet, like the people around me, you can still do part 1.
Shush.
You can still do the quests. The fates are still going, so you can get all the rewards. But part 2 started today with another quest, another fate to do in town, and yeah, you can get all the rewards still. That runs for another week, I believe. Something like that.
I think it's like 9 days. So I think it's resetting on. No, it's Saturday.
So April 13th is it when it's done. So another week.
I was gonna say it's not resetting Tuesday. It's the week after that Tuesday.
Yep. So yep, Monday, April 13th at 7:59 a.m. Pacific time is when it ends. But what we are getting on Tuesday is patch 5.25 that has been announced to be releasing on April 7th. I did not see prelim patch notes. Maybe I missed them. Let me just double check.
I haven't seen them either. So 5.25, we do know a couple of things that are happening. They're updating crafting and gathering. Shock surprise.
Yep, they're making a few more changes to that. They've been slowly rolling out the changes, so it's not one huge shock to the system
dump
for everybody. But
it's been weird watching the changes and seeing like all of these skills and my bars and my macros just vanish into nothing because they just don't work anymore.
Half my macros, are worthless now because I don't have the skills anymore. Which
I'm okay with the fact that it's
I don't need half the macros
boring.
though. To be honest with you, I only need one macro for 90% of that stuff.
Yeah, it's hit with hammer. It's done.
Well, no,
It's
I mean,
really easy.
you know, you can 100% stuff with 4 button presses now.
Yeah.
If it's
Most
level 70
everything.
or if it's 10 levels below, or if it's level 70 or under, because basically to get that skill you have to be level 80, I believe. So.
And that's something that honestly should have been around for a long time. Like, I'm sorry, if even as a level 50, 60 crafter, you know how to make rivets. You just do. You shouldn't ever fail to make them, and you shouldn't ever fail to make them HQ. Like, they should just be straightforward. So I'm glad that it exists, but it just took a long time to get there.
Yep. But the biggest thing that we're getting is, well, the biggest thing they're adding to the crafting and gathering is sky skill tools.
I just got my tools.
Yeah, I know. I
just got them all, like last week.
Well, you can give them to retainers. Well, if you have gathering ones, I guess you can give those to retainers. But
yeah, but like I just got my primary and secondaries for all of
legitimately,
my stuff on the hand.
I'm only gonna get a few of them sky skill tools. I think. But I believe they're questing because these are the ones that are the similar to like the Lucis tools.
Oh, okay.
These are relic style tools that will grow and build.
Oh, well, that's not so bad then.
And I believe it is tied to the rebuilding of the firmament. So look forward to that.
Honestly, you just get the ones of the stuff that you're going to craft specifically for like Kai Shear and whatnot to do your weeklies.
Yeah.
Like get one class's stuff and then you're good for that. And then if you want to start crafting other things and using it to work the market board, that's when you start worrying about the other ones.
Exactly. And who knows? It's very possible that these may not be a lot better than a fully melded HQ facet tool.
Yeah. The fully melded facet tools are insane.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a sneaking suspicion at least my second hand is going to retain those.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, at least not until maybe it's down a couple of steps. So we got time to see what this all brings. But the biggest thing that's coming is the Blades of Gunhildr. The Resistance Weapons questlands will be coming.
So is this our new? This is our new.
These are our new relics. But they're called Resistance Weapons.
That's fine.
Yeah, because
Doesn't matter what they're called, they're all-
it's a part of the Hrothgar resistance movement that we're going to be
Gotcha.
helping. And in order to get access to this, you do have to have completed the Return to Ivalice 24-man raid series and that entire storyline.
That's a very interesting gate that they've put up for it, because I don't like the 24-mans are fun and I like them, but they're not for everybody.
But they've decided to put the storylines, make them related. In order to fully understand what's going on where they're at, it involves knowledge that's contained within the 24-man from that patch series.
I think we also saw some problems coming into Shadowbringers for people that, you know, joined in late Heavensward or in Stormblood, and they showed up and they're like, what the hell is this? And who is this cat boy? And you're like, oh God, you never did Crystal Tower.
No, that's why I think that they pushed people with, it wasn't required content, but it was strongly encouraged content that's allows people for catch-up stuff.
Yeah. So that way we could make sure that, like, please do this. You need to at least be remotely familiar with these cutscenes. None of this. So I understand why they put the gate up. It just feels like an interesting to go 24-man.
Yeah.
From Stormblood, and now that's a requirement for effectively a relic quest.
Yeah. All right. So we've got that to look forward to on April 7th with a maintenance starting at, what was it?
10
Pacific
10
time?
PM. Yeah. It's usually 10. It might be something different. But...
Well, I'm checking the lodestone right now. Maintenance for April 6th is 11 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Well, because of daylight savings, that's why. It's an hour later because of daylight savings.
Oh, yep. That's true.
So servers will be back up at 3 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday. So look forward to that. If you guys have been following along with the creation of Shadowbringers behind the scenes video series, parts 5 and 6 are now released. So the entire 6-part series is available out on YouTube. I will link part 5 and part 6. Part 5 is Spawning the Sounds. They discuss what they had to go through to create not only music but background sounds, creating Foley sounds. For those of you who aren't familiar with what a Foley sound is, it's sound effects. It's creating of the normal movement sounds, the normal ambient sounds, like you would see in
footsteps on
movies.
the ground, walking through leaves, stuff like that.
That is all considered to be Foley work. So if you're watching credits on a movie and you see who like the Foley is on that, it's the person who's creating all of those ambient sound effects. And they showed them actually creating some of these like for the jobs. One really cool thing that I learned in this was they actually had a sound design in mind where they want each particular job to have its own sound profile, to where you hear something, you know that it's this job. You hear, the big heavy thud, you know that that's a warrior. You hear the chimey percussive jingling, you know that's a dancer. You hear those strums and the shots, you know that that's a bard. That kind of thing. The
harp and the twang of the string versus something like, because now that you're mentioning it, I'm kind of going through the sound effects in my head, and I'm like, how do you do, like, a ninja sounds very different than a samurai.
Yeah, where that's a
yeah, they're both still a metallic shing sound, except one is shorter and doubled, and then one is longer.
And you got Paladin with its very specific, slashing sounds. The Gunbreaker with its explosive slashes.
And they all sound slightly different. They're all in like a different key, and almost.
Even the casters all sound different. They have a different feeling to the way that their spell effects go off.
Now that you're saying it, I'm like going back in my head, because Black Mage and Summoner definitely play differently, especially now. But like they definitely felt and sounded just a little bit off, and I could never quite put my finger on why. And I think the sound effects are definitely part of that.
So I mean, the fact that they had that entire plan, when starting, I thought that was really amazing. Then the second one I linked there was part 6, Building the Battles. This bit of information that I gleaned from this one was absolutely amazing. The fact that the Trust AI system is modified from Final Fantasy XII's Gambit system.
That does not surprise me because the Gambit system was incredible. But I love the fact that 14 is effectively a theme park that uses bits from every Final Fantasy game. The fact that they're straight up saying, "Hey, we use the Gambits as a basis for this."
Yeah, it's a heavily modified version of it. But they said, if somebody hits 50%, Alphino is going to cast Physic. If somebody hits 30% health, he's going to cast, this other one. Blah 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 blah. And they designed it so that not only they would do specific things at specific triggers, but it also made them feel like they are still their character.
So for anybody that likes data science or machine learning, take a stab at playing through Final Fantasy XII again, or look up how the Gambit system works. And then let me remind you that came out in the early 2000s on PlayStation 2. It's effectively machine learning algorithms that you get to program.
And
bit
you get to tweak it and modify it. You are the one in charge of its design in that case, of how it functions.
It's still finite, like 30%, 50%, if then. Like, there's pretty basic commands, but there's enough of them.
There are so many Gambits you have to buy in that game, though.
Oh my God. How many can you put on somebody? I think it's like 20 or something insane.
8, actually. 8 or 12.
It's a lot. I haven't played anything.
I think it actually is 8. I think it is 8, but still, I mean but you can constantly change them and tweak them for each specific instance, each situation. And that's what they wanted you to do, because they knew that you were going to go up against different battles and come up with different things that you had to overcome using that, because you're not going to be switching back and forth between each character and manually controlling them, though you could. Gambit system allowed you to let, put out these commands and let the game, quote unquote, play itself. And
I set my party up to just do everything by itself, and it does get pretty boring after a while.
If you do it well,
have some control.
If you do it well, yeah. But I mean, like I said, you can choose to min max or micromanage it as much or as little as you want. So,
but seriously, anybody studying machine learning, go play with the Gambit system. You'll learn a lot.
That does give me hope, though, that being the 14 team utilized Gambits, maybe they did actually put them into 7. So we'll see.
I would love that.
Speaking of going back a little bit to the pandemic, the Final Fantasy XIV dev team did also offer some additional news that I'm going to read off real quick.
Sure.
The Final Fantasy XIV development and operations teams offer their deepest sympathies and wish the speedy recovery of those who have been affected by the worldwide spread of COVID-19, aka novel coronavirus. As you may know, the development and operations teams have taken measures to minimize the impact to our services by working remotely. Despite this, there have been some inevitable disruptions, such as certain customer support features being suspended on NA in Europe. Depending on the situation and regulations enacted within each city or country, we may experience limits imposed on development and operations, schedule delays, or further disruption to customer support. We will be taking precautions in the best interest of the safety of our staff and local communities, while minimizing the effects on our services as much as possible. We will share further updates via Lodestone News as the situation evolves. Thank you for your understanding and continued support of Final Fantasy XIV. So, they're continuing to do what they can, but they're not immune to this either.
Nope. And considering the U.S. office is in El Segundo and the Shinjuku office has been shut down for about 2 weeks, yeah, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, so the fact that they've been able to do is what they have, and they are giving us patch 5.25 basically on time. I'm happy.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
But I'm very happy.
Me too.
Continue to do what you need to do, guys. We, the fans, I'm maybe just not speak on behalf of everybody, but at least on behalf of us here at Phoenix Down Radio, we're very thankful for what you're doing. We're glad that you're able to continue to be safe, and we hope that you continue to do what you need to do to ensure your safety as well. So thank you. Going to link one more really cool, funny, amazing thing here. I don't know who of you guys are familiar with Rabtoons out on YouTube. Rabtoons does some amazing parodies of different video games in a very specific and hilarious art style. They created a Final Fantasy XIV parody, kind of like a game show slash talk show, Behind the Light. And I happened to come across this, and I linked that in the Twitch chat. It will be going out to the podcast show notes as well. Watch it. It is hilarious. Have you seen It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, it's these guys. It's
Yes.
yeah.
They've done little jabs at a bunch of the other Final Fantasy games as well, and they do it because they love the games. But they're not all perfect.
Oh, yeah. No,
And-
but you got to be real. There's some busted stuff in Final Fantasy games.
Yes, and they talk a lot about how the game looks. Oh wow, this game has so many people in it. Hi, will you join me? Jump and runs through them. Oh, I feel violated. Watch it. It's worth it. It's not that long. I think it's about 6 minutes or something like that, but it's worth it. So good. Final Fantasy VII time. So, just as we got the behind the scenes for Shadowbringers, they're also doing an inside Final Fantasy VII Remake. See, Final Fantasy 14 on the brain.
It's all good.
Nick and I are saying 7 minutes and 44 seconds, so I wasn't too far off. It's been a while since I watched it.
It's a good time.
Yes. They released 2 more episodes of Inside Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I watched both of these. They're both really good.
Part 2 is about story and characters. So they talk about, how they wanted to create this and not, skimp on our, the enjoyment that we had, playing the original game. They want it to feel similar, but they also knew that they had to expand it because it's not just a reading text exercise that we're going to have now. We have fully fleshed out dialogues with voice acting and everything, so they had to expand on that, and they talk a little bit about some of the process with that. And then episode 3 talks about combat and actions, where the original game was an ATB game with where you input commands and then the game enacts those for you. How a lot of current games now are action oriented, and the decision process that they had to what parts they wanted to make action, how far they wanted to take it down that path. Their decision process with the entirety of making this, they did a lot of trial and error to find what they considered to be the right balance. And then the fact that they then went back and decided to add in classic mode.
I think they added classic. Well, I think they added classic mode based on the just visceral response.
Yeah.
When they were, I think it was E3 or was it TGS, where they were like, and here's how the ATB works, and here's how you can move around the battlefield, and here's how cover works, and everybody's like, I want my menu, and they were like, well, shit, we just spent all of these months making this, and you guys want a menu. I guess we're putting classic mode in.
And they did.
And they did. And the demo obviously has some issues, but it kind of shows how it's going to work. And when I was at the launch party, which we did not reschedule, somebody asked me, they were like, hey, what do you think? Are you going to do classic or are you going to do the new action commands? And I was like, I think I'm going to do both. And they were like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was like, if I'm wandering around the slums killing haunted houses and like random stuff to get some EXP and, level up materia, level up characters, I really don't care. I'm going to tap X and shoot things with Barrett and it's going to be great. If I'm going to get into a boss fight where I need to not attack when the tail is up, where I need to monitor barriers, where I need to kill bits or whatever, no, I might want a menu for that because I might want to strategize that fight a little bit differently. So I think I'm going to be using both. So I'm really glad they both exist. But again, we don't know for another 4 days.
It looks like the link that I posted for part 3 didn't work, so I'm going to repost that here. Copy. Let's try this one instead. Try that one
to
instead.
Yeah, to which end, if you did buy a digital copy on your PS4, you can download it, and it's just will unlock in a couple of days.
Yeah. The other thing that I was actually going to talk about before we get to that is the final trailer that was released.
I have not seen this yet.
Well, I just posted a link to that.
Watch it later.
One of the amazing things I think the last time we talked about Final Fantasy VII was we asked about the houses. Those illegal houses.
I want to kill the random houses.
They showed one.
Oh yes!
So they
Excellent.
are there. And I am
Joy
happy.
has come in this evening.
There's a lot of stuff in that trailer, so if you don't want to be spoiled, maybe don't watch it, but it's still really good. Though I would say the spoilers, quote unquote, in there are spoilers from the original game as well. So if you played the original game, you're not really going to spoil yourself. But yeah, there's so much more to this game. You know, by watching those inside Final Fantasy VIIs, I think most of them were Nick Nar. You say not all of them, but I think most of them were. And a lot of it was assumed with what we saw in the demo too. So I don't consider myself terribly spoiled. But
we also have the problem of, is it really a spoiler? Is it really a spoiler? It has been 20 years. Figure it out.
Yeah. So like Taliz was saying, digital downloads already pushing to PS4s for people who ordered digital copies. So that way when midnight hits on the 10th, you can play.
I'll be up.
Square Enix has been shipping a number of their orders early to make sure that the game gets into as many hands as possible before the 10th. Like I said, we saw Chili got his copy. A few people in here have gotten their orders or emails saying that their order has shipped, so they should have it by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, depending on their shipping method. Amazon has updated a number of their users that orders may be delayed due to the large amount of essential items that they're shipping. Mine currently says estimated delivery date the 14th.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm not happy. Especially since I basically had mine on pre-order since it was announced back in 2015, 2016.
Oh God.
I mean, though this last one that I actually have now, because I canceled that one because I wanted to go for the collectors, the steelbook. But I mean, the day they announced that one, I had that pre-ordered. So, but I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to see. We were talking a little bit before the show. A number of Amazon orders that say they're going to come on day X actually come a day or two earlier. So.
There's also, I know there's a lot of copies floating around Oceania right now. A buddy of mine in PEI got his as well. So like they're kind of just showing up at this point. So if you get a box from Amazon, there's a chance that it's in there.
Well, like I said, I mean, I won't get anything until they tell me that something's been shipped.
Yeah.
They don't send anything out just willy-nilly, and then you get a magic box.
No.
Amazon doesn't do that.
No, I know that the local FedEx and UPS, because nobody's really moving apartments right now, most of the rental box trucks are, the big orange stripe ones and all of the other independent ones.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone I see, they'll stop in front of a house and somebody in the purple FedEx or brown UPS uniform will get out and flip the back up, and it's nothing but boxes. They have so many deliveries right now. They're literally renting trucks to get their routes through. So you might see some stuff shipped to you. You might have to wait till the 14th. We're all trying to figure it out together.
Exactly. I mean, I'm slightly upset because I had fully planned on, playing the game all weekend and streaming it for you guys. As Nick Nar said, SE is cracking down on people who are streaming early. Like, some people have physical copies. I mean, legitimately, that means they could play the game if they wanted to. They wouldn't, but if they catch you streaming it, they will put a C&D up saying, hey, don't do that. That's not cool.
I also feel like there's a certain, hey, guys, be cool thing that they threw out a couple of weeks ago, then most people are following that anyway. But every once in a while, you're going to get somebody that's going to be a jerk about it. Just
just
report
like
them, move on.
just like the rest of the situation, we're kind of in a wait and see attitude right now.
Hurry up and wait. That is the official motto.
My official motto is "fuck this." I want my copy on the 10th. Damn it.
Dude, okay, so I was supposed to pick up my car the day they closed Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
It took me until 2 days ago. They are shipping my car back to where it came from in Oregon. And then my roommate is driving me to Oregon so that I can do my financing over the phone on either side of a window. And then they hand me keys and remote open the gate so I could drive my car away
Well, I
without
suppose
ever
because
interacting with the person.
they don't have the same restriction as they do in Washington.
Washington, you are not allowed to sell cars unless it is being sold to essential personnel or medical worker or cars totaled or whatever. I'm technically essential because I'm delivering groceries. I'm also a contractor. So
Yeah.
I don't get the protection of that. So
Well, you
we'll
would
see
think
what
that
happens.
that the company that you'd be working for would be willing to send something like that, saying that, yeah, he's contracting
So-
for us.
To vouch, yeah. I don't know. It'll be fine. It means I get to take a road trip to Portland. That's what's going to happen.
Right on. Maybe you can get some lovely curbside Portland food or something.
Curbside donuts from
Voodoo?
from Voodoo Donuts. Yep.
And then you didn't make a long road trip back to Minnesota to drop some off? Just kidding.
I will tell you this. I have had Voodoo Donuts 12 hours later, and they are garbage.
Okay. Fair enough.
They are day of donuts. They are bizarre.
Gotcha. All right. And then there was a little bit of other Final Fantasy news. For those of you who pre-registered and followed this, the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of Divisions tactics style game is live on iOS and Android. It's got nice graphics. The story is different, but it's not bad. And I will say the tactics-based playstyle is interesting, but it doesn't really fit on a mobile device.
Oh, is this Yeah, I saw a couple of screenshots of this and just didn't even bother installing it. Or no, I had it installed. I started it and went, "Oh God, no!" And it's just mobile tactics.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it suffers from a lot of the same weaknesses as Brave Exvius. Goes to the same developer, Gumi. It relies way too heavily on paid content. And
That's unfortunate.
yeah, so I personally can't recommend it. But if you like it, you can play the game for free. You don't have to buy anything. It is what it is, I guess. If you're interested in that, like I said, I think the only reason I downloaded it was because of the Final Fantasy XIV tie-in. You can get Ishtola, and if you play through the Shadowbringers special content and get enough currency for the event, you can get a Thancred unit as well. But it's a lot of time and a lot of grinding for very little payout. So
Yeah.
I can't recommend it personally. I'll probably end up uninstalling it like I uninstalled Brave Exvius, which actually just is currently having a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood event.
Okay, let's just... What year is it that we're having a Full Metal Alchemist crossover?
Yeah, right?
There's no movie coming out. They're not re-releasing the Tonko manga. Brotherhood came out in 2009. The original series came out in 2004. Like, why?
They're trying to come up with a way to make their game relevant again. And what better way to do that than with the super popular anime/manga Full Metal Alchemist?
But that's so, like...
there are a lot of people who are extremely excited about this.
I think that's one of those you need to know your market. Like, I'm the type of person that I can't tell you watched 2 seasons ago because I watch all of the anime as it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But if your target demographic for your title is people that are still rewatching shows from 15 years ago, then yeah, that's going to work out great for them. But if your target demographic is, oh, I'm watching the newest thing, you're going to be like, well, you're either doing a collab with Demon Slayer or don't bother.
I mean, I could even see maybe
that's
Attack
rough.
on Titan or Boku no Hero Academia.
My
You
Hero
know.
Academia would be a really good crossover. My God, that is getting oversaturated, and
Yeah.
Jump is even like, we need to not do anything for a while. Like season 4 is like so low key. Like they don't have any time to do anything else right now. They're so busy.
I mean, even Bleach might not be a bad one because, I mean, that's going to be coming back here shortly.
See, Bleach I get because Bleach shut off and is over, but it was still very much still under that Jump banner. Where like, what's the newest Dragon Ball? We haven't had new Dragon Ball in literally years at this point.
But, I mean, they're still putting out games.
They're still putting out games. We had a movie a year and a half ago, but we haven't had new. But if you show somebody Goku and Krillin punching Cell in the side of the face, you're going to everybody's going to be like, hell yeah, that's great. Let's collab with that. Like, it doesn't matter.
Or let's create our own mobile game off of that. Or let's create a PS4 game where we go through and we have basically an RPG element to it. So.
Also, if you like the Naruto fighting game, you will like Pokken Tournament. It's the same game engine.
Interesting.
Found that out the other day. Good times.
But they also did mention for Brave XVs that there's going to be another new collab coming soon. Gee, I wonder what Final Fantasy VII is going to be
I don't
part
know.
of. But on a more positive quasi Final Fantasy note, Bravely Default 2 currently has a demo.
Excuse you, what?
Bravely Default 2 demo is available right now.
Made a note I need to go to Amazon and order a Switch right now. I'll be right back.
And the game does have a 2020 release date for the Switch. It's not necessarily Final Fantasy, but it's Final Fantasy.
It's shut up. It's Final Fantasy. Okay, it's Final Fantasy in as far as like Chrono Trigger is Final Fantasy. It's not, but also it sort of is. But it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's a very Final Fantasy feeling game made by the people who created a lot of Final Fantasy games. Just does not have a Final Fantasy name.
Well, did you play 4 Heroes of Light?
No.
4 Heroes of Light was basically Bravely Default Beta.
Okay.
You switched hats to switch jobs. It was the same general idea.
All right.
So it feels the same.
You know what, Taliz?
What's up?
I think we're gonna have a short episode tonight. I think with
so
with
too.
Sarah sitting out, I want to save our patch 5.2 MSQ for when he can join us. Plus the fact that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long.
Yeah, maybe that's rough.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I know we could have a good discussion on it, but I think Sarah would have a great time talking about it with us. There's a lot of questions that I still have that he can probably help answer. And because of everything that's happening, I think it's okay to have a shorter episode tonight.
I think it is too. However, I found my
something?
notes. I found my notes on my prep station.
Okay, so what were you going to be discussing with this one then?
So this was one that I was looking at. We were discussing, I think it was like 2 months ago or something. We started discussing pasta, and then we started discussing meatballs. And I remembered that there's a meatball recipe that came out back in Heavensward. It's the Cockatrice meatball, and I was like, okay, how do I make this in real life? And obviously with ingredients being a little bit more difficult to source, I opted to not make this one. But looking into it, it's one of the types of recipes that you would find in somewhere like in all the Heavensward regions. Everything was covered in snow. There's a lot of castles. It's cold. You want something very hearty. You get a lot of stews. That's why we have things like the Sky Builder stew being so prolific right now. You want kind of that stick to your ribs, slow cook, make protein, sit it in sauce, cook forever type of food. So if you look at the Cockatrice meatball, it's made with 3 Cockatrice thighs, 2 Cyclops onions, a flatbread, tomato sauce, and rock salt. Also fire crystals and water crystals. Looking at how you would prep something like this, definitely going to take like a Cockatrice thigh and probably either dice it or mince it so fine it's effectively ground. The Cyclops onion, same type of idea. You're going to want to dice it fine, mix it together with your chicken, cockatrice, season with the salt. And flatbread, I'm thinking they're probably meaning to use as a breadcrumb.
A binder.
Because you need some form of binder. There's no egg, which was interesting. But if you cook it low and slow and long enough, you wouldn't necessarily need one.
Well, I mean, if you look at like in the Scandinavian areas, if you look at the Swedish meatball, I don't think those don't have eggs, do they? They have
They do not.
They have bread mixed with milk to make a paste.
Yep.
And
they use milk.
And they are mixed very well together. I mean, it's not a very delicate process. They get in there and they mush the shit out of that. I mean, it becomes a very, very homogeneous paste for all intents and purposes, and then they cook it over their fire.
And when you're doing something like that, you're wanting to use not only the liquid from the milk to hydrate that breadcrumb, but you're also using the milk fat and the milk solids kind of as that protein that you get out of an egg white, where you are using that as the binder.
Yep,
But
additional
you
binding
have to-
options.
Exactly. So for here we have salt, breadcrumbs, onions, cockatrice thigh, tomato sauce. We have 5 fire crystals, 5 water crystals. In addition to just the scaling of the recipes and how much things are supposed to take, we know that you have to use crystals in this point instead of shards. But why 5? Why not 1 or 2? Like a lot of the recipes at the same level. And I feel like it's because this kind of recipe is designed to be cooked low and slow over an extended period of time.
Oh, I just honestly figured that the amount of crystals that were needed were just based off of a standard number because they figured that we'd be able to get that many crystals at that level.
Right, and that's the mechanical reason, right? If you pull the flavor away, like that's why it's the way it is. But if we want to extrapolate a little bit and think about it, maybe you put extra liquid in. Maybe you leave that over a low and slow fire for however long 5 fire crystals will burn for. The actual tomato sauce recipe itself is very similar. It's 1 fire shard, 1 ruby tomato, 1 wild onion, 1 Ghanaian garlic.
It's just
quick, simple, fast blender marinara, basically.
It's interesting though that they're using this style of meatball with a tomato-based sauce, though.
Doing a chicken meatball with tomato, where you think if you're doing a chicken meatball, I want something lighter. I want lemon, thyme, cream, browned butter, something like that, as opposed to this where it's acidic and bitey and garlicky. And
unless they were going for a more of a stewed style, and then maybe relying on the reduction of the tomatoes to reduce the acidity at that point and amp up on the sugars and the caramelization of that to add a different flavor versus, instead of just having like the very tart and basic blender marinara, like you said. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking, and that with, if you think of more of the cold, a lot of those areas, like I said, they go more on the more heavy fatty sauces, like it'd be a cream-based sauce in more of a northern clime, because they want something that has a lot of body and depth, something that gives additional energy, more fat, something for storing, extra calories.
But if we look at everything else that we use this tomato sauce on, we have things like the dodo omelet, where they're effectively using it as ketchup, or pasta ortolano, which is a 3-star level 60 recipe, where they're definitely using it as like a ragu type of a thing. We also have boscaiola, which I definitely butchered the pronunciation on. It's an eye level 210 recipe that came out of patch 3.2. It's using the tomato sauce. It's also using vermicelli, which is the kind of rice pasta-ish thing. If you've ever had rice-a-roni, it's the long, thin stuff.
Yep.
Olive oil, morel, porcini, and onion. If I was going to have effectively rice-a-roni with mushroom and onion, I also am not thinking tomato sauce with that. So I'm feeling like this tomato sauce is designed to be very simple so that you can use it in things like this boscaiola, or like the cockatrice meatballs, or the 2 omelets it shows up in. It also shows up in stuffed cabbage rolls. Now that one, which is very similar to the buttons in the blanket recipe, it's cabbage with usually protein inside, wrapped, then slow cooked in sauce. Think like eggs in purgatory, but with more time.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense. I have no issue with seeing tomato sauce in that. But if I see the tomato sauce on a mole loaf, I'm like, this is just a meatloaf, and they're using it as a chili sauce, as a marinara, and as a ketchup.
I mean, I guess that kind of makes a little more sense at that point. If they're just utilizing one particular basic sauce and then taking it to different levels to enhance its different characteristics.
Well, okay, it's the Riviera breakfast. You use eggs, butter, salt, tomato sauce, parsley. There's no part of that tomato sauce that's getting changed. Like, that's literally just being put on as an adornment. But if you look at things like buttons in a blanket, it's a level 49 recipe. It was right at the tail end of Realm Reborn. Excuse me. You have 3 button mushrooms, cabbage, a full-size tomato, the tomato sauce, and then salt and saffron. So this is where you're getting that kind of spicy, vegetarian, mushroom-stuffed cabbage. And you're using the tomato sauce for that too. But I'm looking at the tomato sauce. I'm also seeing ruby tomato. I'm also seeing desert saffron. So that's a sauce that we're going to spike and we're going to add stuff to. The ingredients in and of themselves, especially things like night's bread gets used in 3 or 4 other different items. Sometimes the night's bread is a bread bowl for a soup. And sometimes you see, like the flatbread from the Cockatrice meatballs, we see that it's being used as a breadcrumb. So we have to use a little bit of extrapolation and understanding using the imagination. But it's still a really, really good recipe. It's a pretty straightforward one. And if you want to do a chicken-style meatball, JustOneCookbook.com has a couple of really good Japanese recipes for chicken meatballs. Because pork and beef aren't used as heavily, they use a lot of poultry. And so you can find some pretty good chicken meatballs. They're using things like soy and mirin and green onion to really get their flavor out of that. So check out Just One Cookbook if you want to find a really good chicken meatball recipe, or if you want to try to make a cockatrice recipe using the 5 ingredients that are available on Gamer Escape. Please tweet me what you make, because it would be really funny to watch.
And also make sure that you don't stare directly into the cockatrice. So you don't want to turn to stone.
No, seems bad. And don't overcook your meatballs, or they will also turn to stone. Finally, a sound effect that isn't weird.
I like turtles.
All right. Okay, and now it's ruined. Okay, perfect.
Wow, that was actually unexpected turn, but well appreciated.
Unexpected food segue.
That's
We're
what she
good at
said.
those.
That was for Nick.
Hey, Nick already threw down, and that's what she said.
That's why I said it. Or that's why I pushed the button. So, all right. So yeah, we learned that for whatever odd reason, the Ishgardians like chicken balls of meat.
Sure, I don't ever say it like that again, but yes, that's fine.
Well, they could enjoy chicken sausages.
That's less weird somehow. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Anyway. Well, I'm surprised they don't make it more out of chocobos. I mean, they've got chocobo thigh is a thing.
Chocobo thigh is a thing, and considering how many chocobo there are,
especially in Dravania.
Could you imagine all of the breeding that happens that you need to do to get really good flying chocobos?
Yeah, there's got to be a few that don't make the cut, so to speak. They make another cut.
They just gave us one, right? Well, they just gave us one, right? And you're not going to give, looking at how all of Ishgard and Dravania is built, you're not going to give a gift to somebody that's subpar. You want to make sure that the gift you give them is good, so that every time they utilize it, like every time we fly with that black chocobo, we go, oh yeah, I got that from this dude. So we want to make sure that their reputation is represented in the gift. They're not going to give anybody a subpar flying chocobo. So there's probably a lot of chocobo thigh freezer somewhere.
Yeah. And with that disappointment, that'll do it for this episode. That was a very Top Gear ending, wasn't it?
And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to end.
If you liked what you heard, what parts of it you did hear, I guess, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And if possible, leave us a rating or review. It helps others find the show and helps us to grow out in the community. And if you really do this show, you can consider subscribing here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. Get access to some amazing emotes and subscriber badges. Or you can support us out at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio, like our amazing friend Rory Fenrir. All proceeds go towards growing the show, cover hosting costs, and allow us to do a few fun things like some giveaways. We are auspiciously close to 800 followers right now. So if we get to that point, maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll wait to 1,000 and do something amazing. So, we got ideas. But like I said, if you're new here and you haven't followed us yet, I suggest that you hit that follow button at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio and come join us on some of the other crazy streams that we do too. With everything we've been doing that's been going on lately, I've been playing a lot of Twitch Sings, which has been a lot of fun. I don't know if you know who Edward Keel is.
I don't think so.
Or if you've ever heard the meme, the Trollolololo song.
Oh yes.
They just added that to the game.
Why?
Yes, that's in the game.
I wanna say that like there was actual lyrics that got like banned from his government. So like that was what it came up to.
Not quite, but there's a story behind it. You can go wiki that, but there is a story behind the whole thing. But yeah, it ended up being just a he liked the song, the music itself, so he just basically made up nonsensical lyrics, and performed it in the mid 70s, and it was then found again in the late 2000s, and the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff you can enjoy on a midweek stream. A lot of times we're doing a lot of Twitch Sings parties. They're a lot of fun. Hope you guys are enjoying them, because I sure as hell am. If you want to check out some of our back episodes of the podcast, or see just some random other content, you can go to our website, phoenixdownradio.com. If you have questions, concerns, if you want to just talk with us privately, email podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at PHXDNRadio. And you can also hit us up out on Facebook at facebook.com/PhoenixDownRadio. Taliz, shout-outs?
Shout-out number 1 is going to be to Sarah, who says, "Stuff sucks right now, and I'm sorry. Please take care of yourselves." He was very sad that he wasn't able to be part of the show tonight, but headaches and stress take it out of you. So, Sarah, thank you so much for all that you do. You have been an amazing friend, and I hope that things start to look up for you pretty soon, man. You can find him at FFXIV SEYRR on Twitter, where he posts pictures of food that he makes and random jokes about the library.
Wow, you could end up just being Sarah at that point.
I mean, I have listened to the show before I was on the show.
That's true.
Shout outs to Chili for being a bro. And even though he has a shiny new copy of Final Fantasy VII, he's not streaming it because he's awesome. Shout outs to Alex and Alan, who would be coming home from the KupoCon in, I believe it was Toronto. Unfortunately, that had to be canceled. And we are now preparing for an online version of KupoCon coming out in about 2 weeks. So shout outs to Brianna White and to John for joining us, for possibly being guests on that as well.
Very cool.
You can find me on Twitter at Taliz, Taliz Marvelous, posting a lot of weird things that people are buying and a lot of strange stuff that is happening in the universe. Also, fingers crossed, you'll be seeing pictures of my car this week, so look forward to that.
Much excitement. Hope it turns out well.
Hopefully so.
And I want to shout out Taliz. Thank you so much for sticking around. Appreciate you joining us every show. We love having your interesting viewpoint on things.
I'm definitely interesting.
Wait. thanks for finding your notes and giving us a little bit of extra content with some Cockatrice meatballs.
Nom nom.
Shout outs to Sarah. Hope you're doing better, buddy. Like I said, we will always want to make sure that you are focusing on keeping yourself healthy, number one, and then joining us as soon as you can. Shout out to everybody joining us live here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. As always, to Aurori, to Nick Nar. We had Ian Show in the chat. Everybody who was joining us here. If you're listening on the podcast, shout out to you for listening. We do appreciate that. Shout out to the people at Jimmy's Pizza here in Hutch, because you guys are awesome and you're helping me get some additional money in these tough times. So, shout out to you guys. Hashtag not a sponsor. Just paying my bills.
Hashtag pay the bills.
Exactly. And you can find me out on Twitter at PHXDN_KLAUSS. PHXDN_Klauss. I post whenever I can. I haven't been very good at it lately because, well, the world sucks, and I'm trying to keep myself afloat, so I'm going to try and get better. But like I said, if you want to just hang out and chat anytime during the week, stop here at Phoenix Down Radio on Twitch and hang out on some of our streams. I'm more than happy to chat then. We're here for you to do whatever we can. We want to be a positive force during these trying times. And remember to enter our contest. Tweet us with the hashtag PhoenixDownPickMeUp with an amazing story of something that's happening during this time that you've seen, either somebody else do, something you've done to help lighten somebody else's spirits and keep them going. So for my co-host, for Sarah, even though he's not here, for Taliz Marvelous, I'm Klauss Nightbringer. Wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there, and we will catch you in the next one. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Open music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.